For years, Brad Pitt's love affairs have been front-page fare. 2 marriages, innumerable rumored affairs, and endless tabloid conjecture have cemented his name in Hollywood's Romance Hall of Fame. But beneath all the headlines, there was always a woman who stood out. Now, after a decade of silence, Brad has revealed that she was the one who indelibly marked his heart. Was it the lady that fans have long suspected, or an unexpected name from his past? To discover, we must follow his whole path, from his earliest passions to the loves that defined his life, and learn who Brad Pitt really refers to as the love of his life. If this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel Spark Science, and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started. Prior to fame, prior to worldwide fame, Brad Pitt was merely a small-town boy pursuing a dream. Raised in Springfield, Missouri, and born in Shawnee, Oklahoma, he was not a child of Hollywood but of the American heartland. His childhood was rooted in church life, high school football games, and school plays. When he finally filled his car with gas and drove west to Los Angeles, he was simply another young man eager to crack into an industry that ate dreamers for breakfast. He did odd jobs, notoriously wearing a gigantic chicken costume to draw people into El Pollo Loco, taking acting classes and waiting for his big break. Even then, though, Brad's appearance made him impossible to miss, and his charm made him irresistible. One of his first relationships preceded the time when his name was on everyone's lips. In 1986, he started dating British pop star Sunita, who had already enjoyed a taste of stardom through hit singles in the UK. Theirs was a near 2-year relationship that ended in 1988, much earlier than Brad's breakthrough. Sunita would later depict him in glowing colors, terming him beautiful, sweet, and fun. She testified to his youth and affability, remembering how he was warm and friendly, somebody who hadn't yet been burdened with fame. Years after, when she saw him in Thelma and Louise, she acknowledged feeling remorse, admitting she asked herself, "Oh my God, what have I done?" It was the kind of sentiment that would echo throughout his life, women looking back on what might have been. Brad's next romance came with actress Jill Scullin, his co-star in the 1989 horror film Cutting Class. Their relationship was brief, but it symbolized the first time Brad's love life became intertwined with his work. Jill was already engaged to Keanu Reeves, and her dalliance with Brad caused minimal ripples in the industry grapevine. It lasted only briefly, but Brad was already traveling in circles where love and work blended together nimbly. Before long, Brad was dating E.G. Daily, a voice actress famous for her distinctive work in animation as well as movies. E.G. would afterwards look back on her relationship with Brad in his True Hollywood story and call him deep-souled and intense. She did not see him only as physical beauty, but a gut-level need to make it, a desire that seemed to be fueled by some deep well within. She thought that he was meant for great things, and she remembered that even in the short time they were together, his drive made him stand out. She could tell that Brad wasn't satisfied with being just another pretty boy, he was a man who wanted something more. Their affair didn't work out, but their friendship did, and they stayed on friendly terms long after they went their separate ways. In 1989, Brad's name became embroiled in one of his first celebrity scandals. He was reportedly dating actress Robin Givens, who was at the time of her messy breakup with heavyweight boxing champion Mike Tyson. Brad was reportedly caught by Tyson himself once in bed with Givens, or so Tyson claimed in his own memoir. The tale was newsworthy for the sheer drama alone, the future Hollywood icon supposedly carrying on with the wife of one of the most intimidating men in sports. Givens would later refute the more lurid versions, however, claiming that while Tyson had in fact spotted them together in a vehicle, they were not in bed as described. Whether the whole truth was ever revealed is uncertain, but the incident highlighted a theme that would surround Brad for the rest of his life. His personal life would no longer be a private matter. Another brief but notorious chapter involved Brad's brief romance with Christina Applegate, one of television's hottest young actresses at the time as a result of Married, with Children. The two both showed up together at the 1989 MTV Movie Awards, but in a surprising plot twist that looked ripped right out of a romance comedy, Christina broke up with Brad during the ceremony over another man. Years later, during an appearance on Watch What Happens Live, when asked about the incident, she attested that it was true, but she wouldn't say who the man was. It was a humbling moment for Brad, though history would prove that he recovered quite well. The subsequent romance was more serious and endured far longer. Later in 1989, Brad started dating actress Juliette Lewis, age 16, while he was 26. Theirs was a 4-year union, a rarity amidst the period when Brad's career was already going in high gear. They both appeared in the movies Too Young to Die and California, and there was no disputing their chemistry on and off camera. Theirs was one that Brad would go on to label as one of the best relationships he had ever been in, sharing with Vanity Fair in 1995 that he still loved her 2 years after the couple split. Juliette was not as soft in the memory, though. In 2014, she explained to people that she was sick of being associated with Brad Pitt all the time, insisting that she had moved on long ago. For her, being remembered more for her boyfriend than for her work was a frustration that did not dissipate over time. But for Brad, the relationship was one of the first times in his life that he truly felt intimate while amidst increasing fame. It revealed to him what love was, even under the scrutiny of the public eye. By the early 1990s, Brad Pitt was more than another up-and-coming young actor. His performance in Thelma and Louise had made him a phenomenon, the type of breakout few experience. Women fawned over his cameo as a sexy drifter, and before long, the name Brad Pitt was one everyone knew. The romances of his pre-fame days told a picture of a man who was loving, driven, and able to connect deeply, but it was evident that all this was about to take a dramatic turn. He was now one of Hollywood's most eligible bachelors, and the next stage of his love life would be enacted on a world stage. If all of these affairs influenced a young actor discovering who he was, one woman would then transform him forever after he reached the height of stardom. That woman was Gwyneth Paltrow. Brad Pitt encountered Gwyneth in 1995 on the set of David Fincher's dark thriller Seven. On screen, she was his wife, and off-screen, she was his co-star in one of Hollywood's most publicized romances of the decade. The two were well matched. Gwyneth was poised and studious, the daughter of actress Blythe Danner and director Bruce Paltrow, and Brad was the Midwestern heartthrob whose star was rising high. Their romance was soon the subject of speculation all over Hollywood. At the 1996 Golden Globe Awards, Brad openly referred to Gwyneth as his angel and the love of my life during his acceptance speech. Fans swooned at his words, convinced that this was a love destined to last. Together, they attended red carpets, fashion shows, and premieres, becoming one of the most glamorous couples of the 1990s. Their faces appeared on magazine covers, and their style influenced fans worldwide. But their relationship wasn't superficial. Secretly, their romance was very intimate. Gwyneth would subsequently admit that Brad had proposed to her on a vacation to Argentina. The two of them stood on a balcony at night, gazing up at the stars. It was there that Brad proposed to her. Although they had talked about it previously, the moment itself still caught her off guard, making her happy. She was 24 then, but Brad thought she was the one. Their engagement splashed across celebrity headlines. People wondered when and where they would get married, what she would do, and how they would juggle their burgeoning careers as a married couple. But in June 1997, it all unraveled. Gwyneth called off the engagement, confessing years later that she simply wasn't ready to make such a commitment. She called herself immature, stating she wasn't ready for the responsibility of being married to someone like Brad Pitt. Her dad, Bruce Paltrow, was said to have been heartbroken, as he loved Brad and felt he was a great match for his daughter. For Brad, the breakup had been a heartbreak, but he never bad-mouthed Gwyneth. In interviews many years later, he was still respectful, and Gwyneth, also, looked back fondly on their relationship. She called their relationship major love at first sight, and admitted that Brad had been among the great loves of her life. In 2022, in a public discussion with him, the two laughed as old friends, demonstrating that whatever hurt they had borne each other had healed long ago. Although their romance ended short of marriage, it left an indelible impression on Brad Pitt's life. It taught him what it was to love deeply, to give one's all, and to lose a person you thought would be your future. It was a lesson in heartbreak and passion, one that would mold the man he was to become, but as Gwyneth departed, another romance was poised to mark an entire Hollywood generation.